Tesla's new unboxed process is by far the most important takeaway from Investor Day. They're essentially reinventing the assembly process that Henry Ford created 100 years ago. I spent some time going over the implications that this would have on Tesla's financials, and what I found out was shocking. And I think nobody has really sat down and done the math on this, because if they had, the stock wouldn't be $200 per share. So today I'm gonna break down what makes the unboxed process so genius, and how it will transform the entire auto industry purely from a financial perspective. So in case you don't know who I am, my name is Alejandro, and I make financial software for visualstocks.com, which I believe is the best stock research tool that there is in the market today. Alright, so the first thing I want to bring to your attention is that the traditional assembly line has been part of the industry for many decades now. This was how Henry Ford was able to build the Model T at scale in 1922. And thanks to this, he was able to reduce the price of an automobile from $850 to $290, which essentially got rid of all the horses in less than 2 decades. And Tesla is about to do something similar again. But how does this process that Henry Ford invented, how did that work exactly? First, you assemble the body of the car, and after that you paint it just to take it apart after. And the key part is to put the interior together, which is an extremely tedious process, and only 4 people can work on one car at once. After done with the interior, you put the doors back in and everything else. The problem with this is the huge amount of idle time that the car spends on the assembly line, because as we said before, only 4 people can work on it at once. Also, you have to assemble the doors twice. So let me break down this new process that Tesla invented, which they call the unboxed process. So a new process is to break the final assembly into 6 parts, all of which can happen in parallel, and then assemble the final thing like a bunch of Lego pieces at the end. But why does this matter? Why should we care? First thing that is important is that now factories just all of a sudden become 40% bigger, because they delete a whole bunch of the assembly line and they delete a whole bunch of processes. But the second part is the most important part, and this is what I want to hammer home, is that there's a reduction of 50% for cost of goods sold. I want you guys to understand what this means visually. So we'll graph Tesla's revenue and cost of goods in visual stocks real quick. So this difference between revenue and cost of goods sold is what we call gross margins, which for Tesla have been improving little by little, and they're now like about 24%. And the margins might look a little bit small, but you gotta understand that Tesla has the best gross margins in the industry by a factor of 2. So what would happen if they had this process today, for example? Well, their gross margins would jump all of a sudden to 60%, meaning that gross margins would actually triple, assuming they sell the same amount of revenue, for example. So this would be similar gross margins to Google and Microsoft. Of course, Tesla has other business lines such as energy and services, which wouldn't enjoy the benefits of this new line. But do notice that those are still very small percentage of the total revenue for Tesla. Another thing is that this improvement wouldn't happen all of a sudden, it would happen gradually. And I believe Tesla would actually pass down some of the savings to the end customer. But just to make it fun, let's assume that Tesla just keeps all this extra profit. How much more net income they would have made this past year if every single car had been produced with this unboxed process? Alright, so we know they made 80 billion in revenue, and again, I'm just gonna ignore energy and services. But remember, now we have 60% gross margin, so 60% on those 80 billion, we get 48 billion in gross profit. But now we have to subtract the cost of running the business, which is about $7 billion, which leaves us with $41 billion in net income before taxes, which is more than double what we actually made, and is $10 billion more than what Amazon made at the peak of the pandemic. So the real question is, how much Tesla would be worth if they had had this hypothetical year that we just mentioned? Well, at 41 billion in profit, at the current multiple, which is about 54 PE, that would put Tesla at $2.2 trillion valuation. And that, my friends, is why I think people haven't really sat down and done the math around this new unboxed process. Because Tesla would overnight become the most valuable company in the world, and it wouldn't even be close. This is obviously without counting energy and AI. And the biggest opportunity around AI in Tesla is not even FSD. So I think the only thing that would compare to this new assembly process is their AI opportunity, which I also broke down in this video over here. And I think this information, just as this new assembly process, is super overlooked. And I think if you enjoyed this video, you're probably gonna enjoy that one as well. So anyway, go check that out if you like this video. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.